All right, hey guys, thanks for checking out my video of this, the all-new 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450, and this is the 4MATIC. I gotta be honest, when this vehicle showed up in our driveway for a week-long review, the first thing that crossed my mind was that for the new model year 2024, there just weren't a whole lot of changes with this vehicle, and so my immediate response was, what am I going to talk about? So I had to dig in. I had to read their materials, and I had to go, all right, let's find out what's really going on with the 2024 Mercedes GLE 450 4MATIC. So I want to dig in. I'm going to give you guys the full breakdown because guess what? There's a lot more that meets the eye with this vehicle right here. All right, gang, so as we always do, we start with the exterior design of the vehicle. So for this, the GLE, it actually came out with an entire new refresh in 2020. Now fast forward to 2024 model year, there are very subtle changes to the exterior, and I want to point a few of them out. So if you look at the exterior design, the first thing that is different for this year is actually right up front right here. It's actually a new front grille for the new model year and a new front fender. The inside part, the style of the front headlights, the LEDs remains the same, but the inside design of them does change. So your structure is about the same, but on the inside you get an entirely different look. And I gotta be honest, it's actually way more performance oriented when you look at it now versus the previous model. And then on the front grille, this actual grille piece here is much different. These louvers, if you will, are different for the new model year. So you can see there's a different look up front. Let's jump back to the rear. And again, subtle changes on the rear. They did change out the tail lights as well on the 2024 model. So not a whole lot of difference back here than the previous model, but these lights are definitely different for the new model year. All right, so let's talk about the side profile of the GLE 450. So here's what's really cool. And after I've thought about it a little bit more, why change something if it's not broken? This is one of the most popular, highly sought after, small luxury SUVs that you can buy in the market. If you don't want a full size, but you want a ton of luxury packed into a pretty cool SUV, you're gonna get it with this GLE 450. So I think from Mercedes' standpoint, they said, why change it? Because it looks cool. So when you look at the exterior design, first off, you've got these cool wheels, right? So you've got performance wheels. They got a little bit of black, a little bit of chrome in there, kind of gives it a little bit of pop. And then as you make your way down, you've got very monochromatic look. The black meets the wheels, but everything's white for the most part with a little bit of chrome hitting the wheels, hitting the side mirrors. And then as you make your way down, you've got this like big floating structural area here, this big floating area where your windows are at, and they are wrapped in black. It kind of gives it a pronounced look. And then from the top all the way to the rear, you've got black. But I really want to focus on the second part of the car right here. When you look at your C-pillar, a lot of companies are raking it way down, and a lot of companies are leaving it straight up. But Mercedes went kind of right in the middle so that you still have plenty enough headroom in your second row, and you have plenty enough cargo space in the rear. All right, so what's going on under the hood of the GLE 450? Let's start with the power plant itself. So you're looking at a 3-liter turbocharged V6. It's pushing out 375 horsepower with 369 pounds-feet of torque, and it's mated with a 9-speed automatic transmission. It's easy to just pass right by those numbers, but let's actually talk about them for a second. One, it's turbocharged, which helps you get to that 369 pounds-feet of torque. That means this vehicle, as a small SUV, has plenty enough power off the starting line. In fact, Mercedes is saying that this will have roughly 5.3 in the 0 to 60, so 5.3 seconds for 0 to 60 standpoint. And that's plenty enough speed to get up and go with a small SUV like this. When you put it in that dynamic select mode and go to the sport mode, man, you're gonna feel the power with this little SUV. And one of the Easter egg features I found on the GLE 450 actually is right here. There's a button on the inside. Pay attention to my feet. They're not on the ground, but in a few seconds they will be on the ground because the entire rear end drops so that you can easily load things into the back of your GLE 450. Plenty of cargo space on the inside, and of course you have that little canopy top that allows you to not only tuck your things away, but hide them so people can't see what's in your trunk. All right, so most of the big changes for 2024 are actually on the interior of the Mercedes-Benz GLE 450. And I'll start with the most obvious, and that is a brand new steering wheel for the new year. And they've taken most of the buttons that you have on the C class, and they've integrated them into this GLE. So if you're familiar with the way the buttons work on a C-Class Mercedes, it's going to be very similar in nature. Behind the steering wheel, you will have two 12.3-inch screens, and I love how automakers are just seamlessly connecting them all the way together. I think it just looks beautiful. And what I particularly like about the integration of this infotainment system is that Mercedes is now in its second generation of its MBUX interface. So it's really easy to use. You simply say, "Hey Mercedes, navigate to the nearest Mercedes dealership." So you can see how it just integrates the entire system up here. I'm just going to hit out so that she doesn't keep talking to me. But you can simply say that feature, and I'll say it again, "Hey Mercedes," she's going to come up and want to talk to me. A lot of features there. Down here, you're going to have your cup holder. I do like the fact that Mercedes continues to put in here the cooling feature. So when you hit this, you got a cooling feature to keep your drinks cool. You've got your extension cords and all you need for your USB charging as well, not to mention induction charging. And then you've got the classic Mercedes touchpad that sits up here. It takes me up here on my home screen, and I can navigate everything without taking my hands too far up here onto the screen. I can navigate everything from here and make my way through the touchpad. So a lot of great features on the inside. This is a Mercedes. It does come with air suspension, so with this button right here, I can lower the vehicle or I can raise the vehicle, which is fantastic. And then I mentioned when talking about motor that it's a dynamic feature. You can see her up on the touchscreen: off-road, eco mode. There you go, off-road, eco mode, comfort mode, sport mode, individual mode. I love to leave it in that sport mode. It makes everything excitable. All right, so let's talk about a couple additional things happening up in the front of the cockpit here, and I want to point the speakers out. These are Burmester speakers, and if you're not familiar with the brand, they make incredibly amazing sounding speakers. So that speaker, from a surround sound standpoint, I mean, I'm only a quarter of the way up on volume, and you can just hear it. You got speakers integrated up onto the center dash up here as well. You've got speakers in your second row. You've got a subwoofer, so if you crank out, like me, a little bit of Alicia Keys. Awesome. And just to round out the interior, let's get a little tech heavy for a minute. You have a heads-up display that projects up onto your screen here, so that's pretty cool. I would expect that. You have level 2 autonomous driving, so you can take your hands off the wheel, front crash avoidance, rear pedestrian detection, lane departure warning. So all of the tech features that you want in a vehicle, you're going to have those right here. Not to mention, I forgot, with the head unit as well, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, easy integration between your smartphone and the MBUX system inside the vehicle. And two fun little Easter eggs on the GLE. I noticed this, there's a side pocket that goes way in here. And I found this thing, and I was like, wait, what is this? And I'd like, grab it out. You know what this is? It's a yellow vest that Mercedes gives you in the event that you have any kind of a issue on the road and you got to pull over. You can actually pull this out and put the vest on. Do you want me to put the vest on? Okay, I'm going to put the vest on. So you have a vest, and then you're on the side of the road and you have an issue. Mercedes gives you a vest. How cool is that? No journalist has opened this yet. They haven't looked at it. So you get a vest, and that way if you're changing a tire out, you're safe. See how you're safe? And I got one more Easter egg for you. You ready for this? Check this out. First aid kit. Ever have an issue with one of your kids on the road? Ooh, upside down. First aid kit. Everything that you need to be safe, both on the road and with your kids. All right, so let's close it out with our synopsis of the 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 4MATIC. Overall, the car on an exterior standpoint remains relatively the same, but the new front end styling is something that sets it apart from the previous model, as is the rear of the vehicle. The side profile stays the same, and I do love the look of the vehicle. Why change it? It's not broken. It looks awesome and still is a leader in the small SUV category. Under the hood is really where this vehicle makes a difference. If you're going to get into a GLE, My personal preference would be skip the 350 and move to the 450 because that's where that 375 horsepower is going to sit, and it's going to be turbocharged, which is going to give you that 369 pounds-feet of torque, which is going to make it fun to drive off the line. Here's where we're at on price. You're going to be looking right around $64,000 to get yourself into an entry-level version of the GLE, which would be that 350. This one right here, price is tested, and take into consideration this is fully loaded, you're looking at about $94,000. So it's a pricey SUV. But you get a lot. It is a Mercedes-Benz. You get the luxury, you get the comfort, you get the performance, and of course you get the cool styling. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please drop your comments below. I know everybody's like, oh, it's a lot of money. I get it. It's a lot of money. But that's what you get when you're buying a new 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE. Leave your comments, hit that subscribe button so that we can keep bringing you guys some awesome car videos. All right, out.